Hi and welcome. In today's video, we'll be taking a look at grids in InDesign. There are two kinds of non-printing grids that are available in InDesign. A baseline grid, which resembles ruled notebooks for aligning columns of text, and a document grid, which resembles graph paper for aligning objects. You can actually customize both kinds of grids to your own taste. The way to set up a baseline grid is quite easy. So first of all, we're going to go to Edit, Preferences, and Grids. So once we come here, the first portion, the top portion, is where we do the setup for our baseline grids. So you can start with the color, which this tells you determines the color of the grid. So I prefer most of the time to use a light gray because it's less intrusive with the documents that I may be working with. Then I normally start at 0 relative to the top of the margin. Now you can decide to start at the top of the page or the margin depending on what you are gunning at. This is the increment every 12 points. This just means that the increment that you have, in relation to your font size. For example, if I use a font size with leading of 12 points, I would have the increments every 12 points so that my baseline of the text will align correctly with the baseline grid. Then the threshold or the view threshold, it's how far away or how close you would want the grids to show. So in this case, it's 75, which is the default. You can use 50 or whichever works for you. Then normally this is checked, grids in back. So basically I normally uncheck it so that it does not interfere with, my documents that I'm working on. So once I'm done with that, I click on OK. So to view what I've just done, I can come here to View, Grids and Guides, Show Baseline Grids, and you see that this text or the baseline grid is showing right here. So let me just show you something I have hidden. So this text I have hidden right here, and if I select it, I have if you look up here, the font size is 12 points and the leading is 16 points. So I can go back to the baseline grid, go to Edit, Preferences, Grids, and I changed my increment I change it to 16, which aligns or which correlates to the leading of the text, and I click OK, and you see there's a change right there. So I can just come here, put my cursor right there, go to my paragraph and click on Align Baseline Grid. So I can select everything and just click on Align. So it aligns with the baseline grid. So I can go back to View. If I don't want to see the baseline grid, I can go to View and click on Hide. So you see, I have created my document using the baseline grid. We also have shortcuts. So if you go to the View, Grids, and you see the shortcuts beside the different grid types. So to set up a document grid, just like we had before, we go to Edit, go to Preferences, Grids, and we come down here. We have document grid. So we can choose to have a color. The default is normally for the document grid, is normally light gray. Horizontal, I can choose to say, okay, let's have 5 inches. Let's have 5 inches. Subdivisions, I want it to be 10. This just depends. These settings depend on what you would want to be working on or what your design is all about. So I click on OK. To view what I've just done, I go to View, Grids and Guides, Document Grid, and I see that the grids are quite large. So it depends on what I want to do. So in this case, if say I want to draw out a box. So I click and I've drawn that box. I can draw a next one. Make sure it aligns and all that. Now, if you notice that it's not really snapping to the grid line, so what do? We go to View, Grids and Guides, Snap to Document Grid. So I can now select this, and if you notice, at every point where there's a grid line, it snaps come here, I move. So let me just select both of them and fill it with a color so that you see what's happening right here. I can fill this one with a different color. So I just click, drag, and you see it snaps into the grids that I have created. So basically that's how easy it is to create documents and baseline grids in InDesign. And like I've shown you before, you can go to view, show or hide the baseline or document grids by clicking. So document, because it's intrusive, I can go back and hide the document grid. So at every point in time, I can decide to work with either document grid or the baseline grid. But the baseline grid basically is when I work with text, and the document grid, I use it at times when I want to create certain kinds of layouts. So that concludes the tutorial for today. I hope it has been helpful in some way. Don't forget to share, like, and subscribe, because every week I bring you new tutorials. So take care and catch you in the next one.